United States, July 1st, 1863. The Battle of Gettysburg begins a nation divided. In the summer of 1863, the United States was engulfed in its most devastating internal conflict, the Civil War. A war not only of bullets and bayonets, but of ideologies. The Union in the North fought to preserve the nation and eventually abolish slavery. The Confederacy in the South sought independence and the preservation of its way of life, built upon plantation economy and enslaved labor. As the war dragged into its third year, hope for a swift resolution had long vanished. Hundreds of thousands were already dead, but in July, all eyes turned to a small town in southern Pennsylvania, Gettysburg, where destiny, blood, and history would collide. The March North Confederate General Robert E. Lee, confident after his victory at Chancellorsville, launched his boldest campaign yet, an invasion of the North. His aim? To strike fear into Union hearts, relieve pressure on Virginia, and perhaps force Northern politicians to negotiate peace. With the Army of Northern Virginia, Lee crossed into Pennsylvania, moving through the fertile countryside. In pursuit, Union General George G. Meade, newly appointed commander of the Army of the Potomac, aimed to intercept Lee and protect the North. Lee didn't intend to fight at Gettysburg, but fate had other plans. The first clash. On July 1st, Confederate troops searching for supplies clashed with Union cavalry just west of Gettysburg. What began as a skirmish soon escalated into a full-scale battle. Reinforcements arrived rapidly on both sides. The Confederates pushed hard, forcing Union troops through the town and onto Cemetery Hill to the south. By nightfall, Lee had the upper hand. His generals, including A.P. Hill and Richard Ewell, urged continuation. But Ewell, unsure, hesitated and failed to take Cemetery Hill. That hesitation would become a pivotal moment. Strategic ground. As night fell on July 1st, the Union Army dug in on the high ground, Cemetery Ridge, Culp's Hill, and Little Round Top. Meade had arrived and made his stand. The Union line formed a massive fishhook, a nearly impregnable position. Lee, emboldened by the first day's success, believed he could crush the Union Army once and for all. Against the advice of his subordinates, especially General James Longstreet, Lee resolved to attack. The battle rages on. Over the next 2 days, Gettysburg became a storm of iron and fire. On July 2nd, Lee launched furious assaults on both Union flanks. The Peach Orchard, Devil's Den, and Little Round Top became scenes of unspeakable carnage. Union troops, including the famed 20th Maine Regiment under Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, held their ground against overwhelming odds. On July 3rd, Lee ordered a direct assault on the Union center, Pickett's charge. Nearly 12,000 Confederate soldiers marched across open fields into a hail of cannon and rifle fire. It was heroic, it was suicidal, it failed. Pickett's charge was repelled. Thousands lay dead. Lee's army, once so confident, was forced into retreat. Aftermath and legacy. The Battle of Gettysburg was the turning point of the Civil War. Over 51,000 casualties in 3 days made it the bloodiest battle in American history. Lee's invasion of the North had failed. Though the war would continue for 2 more brutal years, the tide had turned in the Union's favor. Months later, President Abraham Lincoln traveled to Gettysburg to deliver a short speech at the dedication of a cemetery. In just a few words, the Gettysburg Address redefined the war, not as a fight for Union alone, but as a battle for a new birth of freedom. Outro. Echoes of Gettysburg, 11 Sound 12 and Disease. Today, the fields of Gettysburg are quiet, but beneath the grass lies the memory of courage, sacrifice, and the cost of a nation's rebirth. The ghosts of July 1863 still whisper through the trees, reminding us that liberty and unity often come at the highest price. The Battle of Gettysburg wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a collision of ideals, and the moment when the fate of a nation stood on a knife's edge.